last week, I think it was last week, this video game was released. Now, this is called Helldivers 2. This is not a sponsored segment. I've never played it, although after being told by lots and lots of people, you've got to play this game, I realized I kind of do have to play this game. Because what it is a 4-player cooperative game where it's basically, as one person put it, quote, an unlicensed Starship Troopers game, which sounds awesome. Now, this was a really big hit. And this is something the video game industry generally is kind of surprised about. It's like one game that's actually quite good comes out of nowhere. And everyone's like, hey, I'd like to play a good game. And they're like, no, you don't.
You want to give me all of your money instead.
No. Yeah, no, you want to play the latest like Harley Quinn game where she tells you you're a bad person for being a straight white male or whatever. And actually people are like, no, I'd love to actually be a disposable chump on the front lines killing bugs until I get my head melted off, actually. And so, yeah, like millions of people bought this. And it's the same with like Pal World. It's like, I'd really like just open world Pokemon game, please. Like, no, you don't. Like, otherwise we would have made that. And we didn't make that, so you don't want it. It's like, no, millions of people are now playing that, sorry. But this triggered a lot of people, triggered a lot of discourse. And I think the reason I'm talking about this, the interesting thing about this discourse, is the sides people take. Because as you can see, one side is vaguely sympathetic, being human beings, and the other side are carnivorous bugs who want to destroy the human race. So which side did the left choose to back in the human versus bug war?
Do they welcome our insect overlords?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
As you might expect. So Starship Troopers was basically the topic of conversation on Twitter all weekend. Thankfully, I happen to actually be something of an expert on Starship Troopers. This is still on YouTube, getting like 30,000 views over the last couple of days, which is nice. But basically, it's my big breakdown of Starship Troopers. So
I still think this is actually your best video.
Yeah, I know. This is definitely the best video I ever made. But to summarize it, a transparent, populous, prosperous, accountable democracy is presented in the movie Starship Troopers that has a bug empire declare war on it, and the bugs start essentially genociding the humans, and so the humans have to fight back. It's actually morally unambiguous.
Yeah.
Totally morally unambiguous. It's full of well-adjusted and happy people who do the right thing for the survival and betterment of mankind. So calling this fascism makes fascism cooler than it is. Because this isn't actually how fascism worked in real life.
Fascism is when you don't want to be eaten by bugs.
Fascism is when you have an accountable elected government. Fascism is when you're handsome. And you join the
Fascism
army.
is when you get all the girls.
Fascism is when you defeat the enemy.
Yeah, it wasn't a very convincing argument against fascism.
Yeah, no, it's not fascism. It's the libertarian paradise. As anyone who knew anything about Robert Heinlein would know, he was a libertarian author and political activist in his life. Very much an anti-communist. And that's the interesting part about the Starship Troopers discourse, is the left desperately trying to invalidate or take ownership of something, yet again, like with Warhammer, where it's like, no, this is just congenitally anti-you, actually. But the great thing about Starship Troopers is that Heinlein was so explicitly anti-communist, there's just no room for wiggle on that. So anyway, Starship Troopers is pretty good. I quite enjoy it. This is from, I think, the third film. I don't know why they're saying this is a Japanese one. This isn't Japanese. This is from the third movie. But this is what the mobile infantry is supposed to actually look like in the Starship Troopers universe. It's meant to be power armor, because Heinlein basically invented the concept of power armor. The reason they're called mobile is so the jetpacks on, they jump around and they launch like nukes from the shoulders and stuff. Awesome stuff. Sorry, Jess, I realize this is going to be really boring, but I couldn't not cover it. Sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to let you know that we've introduced a feature on the website that allows you to purchase individual videos. So if you go over to lotus.com and see a piece of premium content that you really want to watch, you can pay for it, and it is yours forever. And so let's get into the actual discourse. Because, I mean, what's not awesome about this? You're just one guy with this. This is like the apex of Western man, right? So, yeah, you've used your technology to make yourself an unstoppable machine of destruction, and you are killing millions of bugs in every missile launched, and you're flying around being awesome. And there's the unstoppable tide of communists coming at you. And they are literally meant to represent communists, by the way. Heinlein called them the perfect communism for a species adapted to it. But again,
it's like being a young boy again with an ant colony and just...
Yeah, except this actually has a good point to it. But the point is, Starship Troopers is awesome and makes us look awesome It makes the West and humanity look amazing. And so, of course, the communists are like, well, it's fascism, you know. It's like, really, anything that makes us look good is fascism, is it? And they're like, yeah. I mean, like, you see that communists are identifying literal insects again. Like the insects as well that Heinlein explicitly said represent communists in this story. They're like, yeah, that is
mindless hive mind that will eat all of humanity.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's not about fascism, believe it or not. But anyway, so this went on, and you got the like thing, they're conscripting children. No, they're not conscripting anyone. Actually, they're losing a war that they started. No, they didn't start the war, and actually they're not losing because the whole movie of Starship Troopers involves 2 battles. It is literally the very beginning of a war. That's just it. And the sequels, there were 4 sequels, and they're all terrible because none of them continue the plot of the war, which is really annoying. Like, why wouldn't you just continue until the end of the story? But anyway, moving on. So they all go, well, I mean, Paul Verhoeven, the director of the film, he said they were fascist. And say, yeah, but he was a communist.
And an idiot.
Yes.
He wasn't just left wing. He didn't read the book.
Yes.
And then just said, oh, yes, it's a story about fascism.
It's not even a very thick book.
No.
But you got
even I read it.
Yeah, you got like 2 chapters in and was like, yeah, I'm not reading this. It's like, I mean,
how do you have a job? Like, you're so allergic to work
because he's a communist.
Yeah,
that's why. But he says this quote: "It's a very right wing book. How would you know? You didn't read it." I mean, it is. Don't get me wrong. but how do you know, right? And he says, and with the movie, we tried, and I think we at least partially succeeded in commenting on that at the same time. It's like, well, you made it look cool, but he says, look, all the way through, we were fighting with the fascism, the ultra-militarism. It's just nothing of that in there.
No.
From what I saw in the movie, because I watched a few reviews of this, there's like their like logo, their symbol is sort of similar to the fascist symbol. Is that similar?
An eagle.
Is that similar in the books?
No, you don't. Well, the book obviously is text, so you can't see any logos.
But what does it say? Like,
it doesn't portray them as having a Nazi symbol or anything like that. And all the way through the book, the heading of each chapter, there's a quote from a real world political figure, and the real world political figures are people like George Washington,
famous fascist.
Yeah, famous fascist George Washington, and
Jefferson, Churchill.
Yeah, Thomas Jefferson, Churchill. It's a distinctly Western liberal text. It's not in any way fascist. But Paul Verhoeven's like, yeah, but if I have them wearing Nazi uniforms, big brain. It's just like those cakes that you get where someone makes a cake of a roast dinner or something and cuts into it and it's a cake. He's like, yeah, but I made it look like a roast dinner. It's a roast dinner. It's like, okay, we'll taste it.
Screaming at you because it has the vibes of a roast dinner. It is a roast dinner.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, but it's cake. Everything's cake. But he says, we're fighting with the fascism, the ultra-militarism. It's like, it's a war film. Like, is Saving Private Ryan a fascist ultra-militarist film? Because it's basically what's happening in space, unironically. All the way through, I wanted the audience to be asking, are these people crazy? Why would they ask that? Humanity's attacked by an alien bug race, millions are killed, and humanity fights back. And Paul Verhoeven's like, see, they're crazy. They're mental. How could they be?
Don't you just want to be eaten by bugs?
You don't want to have a cool uniform and save the human race, do you?
You want to have your brain sucked out.
Yes, which, unironically, a lot of the leftists were like, yeah, that's literally me. But anyway, so people are like, look, you're buying into fascism, guys. Starship Troopers is framed as a propaganda film in the world at which it transpires, incorporating elements that are meant to show how a seductive fascist stratocracy can be on the surface. Some think the seductive elements undermine the criticism because they were manipulated by them. They are a democracy. They swear an oath to a constitution.
And they remove the leadership when they fail.
And then they vote for the leader. And if the leader messes up, they resign.
Just like Hitler.
Yeah. Just like Mussolini, like average fascist. Right? And so, as you can see, Paul Verhoeven was so left-wing, he made liberal democracy into fascism in the minds of the leftists. And so people started realizing, wait a minute, it's not that you really know anything or care about fascism. It's that you just hate the human race and any kind of success that we have. That's really what is the beating heart of leftism. I mean, like just this. recent Starship Troopers discourse has been amazing to witness because conservatives are literally buying into the fascist propaganda of a movie that's straightforwardly about making fun of fascist propaganda. It's like, okay, but why are you making everyone look good and wholesome?
And doing good things.
Yes. Like there's
Is there actually a single immoral action anyone takes in the entire movie?
There's the only questionable thing is the intelligence agency using the soldiers as a decoy so they can capture the brain bug.
And then they do it and they win the war.
Yeah. And then he tells them, look, I'm sorry I had to do it, but I've got to make decisions like this because it's a war.
Because I was thinking there's the scenes, like the shower scenes, where the soldiers of both sexes shower together, and society is that perfect that there's no worries about misconduct.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, like we've reached peak equality in the sense of people respect each other then.
It is the most liberal thing you can imagine, yes. So, I mean, basically, this weekend was just leftists showing that they don't understand fascism constantly. Leftists believe that fascism means rule by those who are competent and beautiful. Now, one of the things that we're going to see, and I want you to pay attention to the profile pictures of the people who are calling it fascist, because I think a bit of physiognomy checking is worthwhile at this point. Because actually, it does appear to be a coalition of spiteful mutants who are looking at the handsome, successful, well-adjusted people in Starship Troopers and being like, I don't feel represented in that. It's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. In fact, do we have any so far? But so yeah, I mean, you know, it's basically, okay, well, explain fascism. And the response was no. It's like, okay. And so people are noticing, okay, fascism is just when your dad says no, isn't it?
I mean, yes.
Yeah. Unironically nailed it. That's correct. But you'll notice that these people, as you can see by the profile pictures, not spiteful mutants. Normal people, normal lives, who like being human and like being alive and don't want to get their brains sucked out by bugs. Their cities destroyed by bug asteroids. And so, I mean, look, this guy is a Simpsons creator, but look at his Simpsons profile pic. There's, of course, a picture of himself in The Simpsons. Okay. So, as you can see, it's Verhoeven being like, but I dressed them like Nazis, as he puts in his director's commentary. It's like, okay, why didn't you have them do Nazi things? You could easily have had them do Nazi things. But instead, what we get is live footage from the front lines, a level of media transparency that is just unthinkable.
Showing you the horrors of war.
Yes. Literally will never happen. But the point is, the people in the movie are determined by their actions. That's how you know if they're good or bad, not by the clothes they're wearing, actually. And that's actually why we thought the Nazis were bad, by their actions.
Really? I didn't like the clothes.
Yeah.
That was the big thing for me.
Driving around in Volkswagens wearing stylish Hugo Boss clothes. And they're like, no, well, I don't even care what they've done.
I thought that's why, Chamberlain declared war.
Yeah.
Too good looking. Got to take him down.
Yeah. Chamberlain, the spiteful mutant. But anyway, so as you can see, people are like, oh, well, we need to have a discussion about media literacy. It's like, we are having a discussion about media literacy. Your illiteracy. The fact that you haven't spent any time engaging with this, but for some reason you feel the need to pontificate on it. They lack media analysis skills. They only interact with books, TV shows, and films on the most superficial of levels. It's like, but is it the superficial level, though? Or is saying they're dressed like Nazis the superficial level that you're not interacting with the core content of it? The bugs...
He's saying kill the bugs.
Yeah.
Got you.
I think we should kill the genocidal space bugs. Because I'm pro-human. But anyway, my favorites, this, again, just, sorry, got to pull up profile pictures. Go look at them.
Is this bordering on bullying?
No, this is just observing the kind of people who think that they're better than humanity.
I wonder if there's a Google plugin. Like, I quite like it if there was a Google plugin that changed their profile picture to a picture of the bugs. So then you just know, like, bug sympathizer.
But what I love about this, my favorite part of Starship Troopers discourse, is they'll watch a scene of a military scientist torturing and killing an intelligent life form whose territory we invaded and is clearly screaming in agony and still not get that Starship Troopers is a satire of fascism. That's a living weapon, right? The thing that is being represented, look at it. Do you think it could write a symphony? How would it hold a pen? Like, all it has, the way it interacts with the world is blades. Like, that's all it can do. It's literally a warrior.
And it doesn't have a mind of its own.
It doesn't have a mind of its own. That's why they need the brain bug, right? It's not an intelligent, but look what he's projecting onto it. Okay, so if it's an intelligent life form, then we have to make sure that we can't kill them. We have to be completely kind to them. It's like, but if it's an intelligent life form, let's assume that it was, whose sole purpose in life is to murder you, I think actually might be justified, right? So who is even in defense of the bugs? Well,
Found the culprit.
yeah, the bugmen are sat in their very comfortable rooms going, yeah, actually, I think the bugs are the good guys in Starship Troopers. And then you got some really, really bizarre people. It's like, isn't this cute? Not very.
For people listening, we're looking at the brain bug with its huge brain-sucking tongue coming out of its mouth. It's what?
Surrounded by its 8 googly eyes,
Yeah.
dripping with slime.
And it looks like a blubberfish or something for the rest of it. It's
Yeah.
revolting.
Is it meant to be kind of cute? It's the eyes. Are they cute eyes? I mean, you had some strong thoughts about horses. Horses look like magnificent animals by comparison, right?
Kind of reminds me of a pug. I think it's the eye.
I think pugs are getting short shrift here.
Pugs are pretty ugly.
But this, I think, summarizes it. If you relate to this thing more than the human characters of the film, the problem is you, right? There's nothing wrong with relating to your fellow man in a film about a species of bugs that's trying to genocide man. And I mean, the memes were just fantastic of this, because we have arrived at this point where being against having everyone killed is far right. The chthonic longhouse of the bugs is how this is being interpreted, which I think is actually...
How does that mean?
Well, think about it, right? Insect species are matriarchal.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, think about it, just
Bees, etc.
ants, they have a queen. And so...
The brain bug is its queen.
Yeah. Just a fair point, I think, that no one wants to talk about, I guess. But anyway, so this is what it boils down to. And just so you can see this properly. Nazis, as in handsome human guy, bad. Doing a space racism. Doing a propaganda. Doing a militarism. Brown people, the bugs, good. Being ugly and disgusting, brackets wholesome. Doing an anti-colonialism. Doing communism. It's literally what this has boiled down to. You can literally be a murderous living weapon controlled by a disgusting, gooey brain. And they're like, yeah, that's the communist I want to be.
I mean, this does explain an awful lot. Yeah. I mean, even when we're dealing with like terrorists in the UK who kill kids, and then they're still sitting there being like, well, we got to let them in. Like, what?
Yeah.
I like with Black Lives Matter as well. Like, they were completely against the police and ACAB and all that kind of stuff. Again, it kind of parallels.
Yeah. They will...
Like, what crime won't you excuse? I think we found the answer. I mean, literally, genocide of the human race is also on the table.
Yeah. If it's a handsome white guy opposing it, I'm sorry. I'm with the genocidal Black Lives Matter activists, okay? It's mental. And so people are pointing out, they are just anti-human. And I think that's entirely fair. Like, you can't really describe this. And this is why I thought this was worth covering. The Starship Troopers discourse just reveals the left to be the anti-human force that they are. I mean, it doesn't matter that the Federation isn't a fascist entity. What it is exclusive. What it does is say, no, you can't be a part of it because you're a genocidal space bug. They can't have that. That makes them feel like they're going to be judged based on a standard. It's human-centered. It's meritocratic. It's self-confident. It's morally correct. It's everything the left is not. And they require you not to be any of those things if they are to succeed. That's why they hate Starship Troopers.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Epoch series, this episode on Edward the First Part 2. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.